So Triple H has, reigned supreme, been the guy to get us out of the muck, from the Vince era. And with that being said, one of the things that he has done in order to do all that is his long-term storybooking, which, this far in, I was like, I think some people, I mean, obviously, I was like, you're not gonna win everybody. Everybody's not gonna agree, which is, I was like, that's fine. But seeing more people being like, oh, this long-term storytelling is too long. But when at a time, that's was I was like, that wasn't what everybody was getting. So therefore, it is what everybody wanted. So he just sort of been giving people what they want. Now, with that being said, things that have been long-term storyline, I was like, you could say he has hit the park with everything. And the short, I was like, but at the same time, he's also sort of long story, long term story. Whoo! I was like, that's not even tongue twister. I'm just over here getting tongue tied. Good song, by the way. But yeah, I was like, where it's like it's being done too much with some things, or some things like, bloodline, long term story, Judgment Day, long term story, but all have benefited from this. Uh, but then there's other things that has had the long term storytelling that probably could have did with a little bit more pep in the step. Uh, for instance, I was like the chadgable American Alpha to American Made thing. I was like, because it's like, it's not that we can all sort of see it coming or not like that, or the predictability of it. It's more so of the timing and the drawn out on where it is going once there seemed like a mark that might be missed. I was like, and I was like, and like him with the Alpha Academy thing, to me seemed like that took a long time to get to where we needed to go, just for him to get to the angriness that he had for the Sammy thing, and then that just sort of just didn't happen. The Otis thing that didn't happen, to where it's kind of like yes, we could give the story beats of Otis and him not finding because Otis' power, what basically is walking away. But also, it's like, but we've been building up to this and we don't have any blow off in any type of way. He doesn't hit an Intercontinental Championship, which doesn't, with me, there's like no gravitas maybe to Otis, but I was like, we don't need the title all the time, which is fine. I was like, the Wyatts, I was like, that's going to be some long term storytelling, but I think they're in a different matching than some other things, because I was like, because their motives is, I was like, of getting back at people that has messed up a family, where it's like you take what you get for granted kind of thing. But then stuff like the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, have been long term storytelling in a way that has worked out. I was like, you can even say something like Seth and CM Punk, like, yeah, like we would have probably got that, but we didn't. But they still haven't been able to make that into something where it still is, the weight is still there. But then things like the Final Testament and the New Day that had just been, see them seemingly like they're in quicksand, when it's just like, y'all got to do something to get this going and stuff like that. But also, do we really got to keep doing these same matches and stuff like that? And yes, the Odyssey Jones thing was a good thing that they did, and then it had to fall short because of the accusations. But are we going to get back to it? Maybe yes, no. I was like, the LWO versus Legado, that was just long and petering for a long time. So it's one of them things where it's like, the thing that had made Triple H good is also the thing sometimes holding him back. And also with that, everything around the long term storytelling also weighs on everything else, because when these major stories are going on, which is not a bad thing, because like you need things to draw in people, and that will lead to everybody else watching these other things. But the problem with that is that if these are stagnant, or these are being so focused on that everything else is just kind of just non-existent or just a rinse and repeat in a way that if this was sort of the Vince, we would have been like, what the hell are we doing with this here of just this pitter pattering our feet. But yeah, no, I was like, I think that it just like and I was like, I still think while it's like, yeah, he's been doing this for like what, about like 3 years now, because I was like, this would be his third SummerSlam, so yeah, about like 3 years. But I was like, Vince came back in a little bit and did that WrestleMania last year, well, not this past one, but the one before that. So there's a little bit of and it's like you still got to get your footing or whatever. Because I was like, even though it's been 3 years and that could seem like a long ass time, that doesn't mean that you're a pro at this or anything like that. You're still sort of new at this. So, and also, while like we're doing this now, it has helped a lot of people at the same time. You know, I was like, and I will say like other long stories that I was like, not necessarily the story itself of like, you know, like how it is with Judgment Day or the Bloodline, but things like the Nia Jax dominance run, getting like doing like the Rhea Ripley part of it, of like her whole like last year, I don't know, wait till now. I was like, even the Liv Morgan thing, I was like, that's some long-term story booking that has worked out. I was like, even though it was short when you just sort of like look back on it, but at the time of Becky Lynch having an NXT title and doing things with that, I think that was still, and I was like, if you want to credit him with some of this stuff or not, I was like, that's fine. But I was like, it was under his watch. He's giving the okay with it, that type of thing. So I was like, I think you have to. But I was like, I think even though we can nitpick on some of these things here and there, I think it's overall has been a pretty much success of the long-term storytelling. And I was like, to be honest, I think it's also not just needed because everybody was wanting for us to have like some stories that are drawn out, thought about, have an end game, have beats and stuff like that, the attention to detail, all that other stuff. It's not just that people wanted it, because we were so starving for it from before all that. But the fact is that's like with that, it has brought up a lot of people, and we're probably after. I really want to say that I was like, not that it will go away, but I think that it will change after WrestleMania. I think while we will still have it, it would just be in a different form because I was like, Bloodlines will probably, I was like, in this faction type of iteration will be gone. I was like, you will still always have bloodlining throughout WWE from now on. Like, there still will be Roman, there still will be Solo. I was like, Jacob Fatu look like he's going to be a prominent star type of guy. I was like, I think Tama Tonga I was like, we'll have a role. Lower, I was like, they got all they damn siblings and stuff like that. Jay, the main star. I was like, at some point, I think they'll try to get Jimmy there, but I was like, I'm not gonna lie, he's probably gonna be the Matt Hardy of this Hardy Boy situation. Jay is Jeff, to be honest. But I was like, Judgment Day will not be around so I was like, and I was like, the CM Punk Drew thing will die off as far as like the culmination will be toward like at WrestleMania in some form. That yes, I was like, all the wrestlers keep that history because we know, they know, we all know, they know, we know, everybody know it. But now you're going to have to make some new things, so a new way of having to do this long-term story beat and telling will be different. I think that's where this will kick in to where it'll be a whole different look, that it won't be like, oh, we're just always focused on these stories, which sort of maybe drains these stories, even though it brings light to these stories. I was like, it will change, and I was like, and we'll have a whole new sequence of things that might get new people in, because I was like, also with the long-term storytelling, the reason I think it also has to be particularly this way as well too is the fact that you got to make over so many people to get them prominent to where you think they're all legit. Think about Chad Gable a year ago. Seeing that, like, if Chad Gable ended up with having a world title shot against Gunther, yes, we don't think he's going to beat Gunther, but it's not. But we don't think there's not a chance. And I was like, that's the difference. Chad Gable last year against Gunther, I was like, I mean early last year, not when he was having his run with Gunther on like a lot of those matches, because that's where it got built up. But now if he is, we'd be like, oh, will they give it to Gable? No, but they might. You know, Sami Zayn, will they give it to Sami? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why my voice just decided to hit those. I was like, I sound like a prepubescent boy there. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I was like, I think that it's all been necessary, and I was like, it's over. It's not. I was like, I won't say it's overstated, because I think it is warranted when we were talking about the other parts of Raw, but I think it is needed because it is the process of getting people over without just doing some shock value thing or just immediately getting somebody the title and stuff like that. You're giving people stories, and that is what carries, especially nowadays. I think that's what carries people in order to be able to be seen as viable champions on really any level, because I think the whole idea is that you want to be able to throw anybody into the world title scene and it not be a foregone conclusion outside of the math of it that that person has some kind of chance. You know, think about Damon Priest, how it's like at the beginning we're like, but by the time we got to the end of it, it's like I said, when he has his next shot, nobody at all is going to question him being a main eventer and being a champion. I was like, it just had to take this long-term storytelling to get him there. You know, like I said, also with Chad Gable, I was like, Sami Zayn didn't need it, but I was like, he also sort of did, and we sort of got that a little bit as well. So I was like, it has worked out pretty much for everybody. And I was like, I think even while we can I was like, sometimes it's nitpicking, but sometimes it's actually sometimes constructive. But I was like, I think for the whole overhaul of long-term storytelling has been really positive and a pro than any con that you could really sort of think of. I was like, because hey, I was like, this Raw or SmackDown on every single day, and I was like, yes, some of them are rinse and repeat, and some of them are just like, oh my god. But some of that is just waiting for the thing to pop more so than you are really like not liking what's going on here. You know, Bloodline on SmackDown. It's not necessarily that's like it itself is boring, or even the fact that it's like how everybody like jokes at the Solo and the Bloodline are like bag my fries, but it's really more so that we're like, Roman coming back, when The Rock coming back. You're waiting for that next thing more so. So I was like, you're really having a really anticipatory type of feel about it, and I was like, that's not the same thing as just doing a long drawn out thing just to be like, I got a story. I was like, no, we're just like, where's Thanos coming? That's really what it is. But anyway, what do you think about the whole long-term storytelling? Have you enjoyed it so far? I was like, do you think it sort of hit a peak to where you're sort of like over it and you just want to kind of just like dial it down a little bit, you know, where it doesn't have to be 6-7 months for every single person or whatever like that. Like some people could just have like 2 pay-per-views and it's like good. Because I was like, I can understand that, to be honest, with some things. Just like let it go. And I was like, I think you're getting that in some cases. But I was like, you know, y'all say that and then y'all also get mad that people basically only had like 2 title defenses at the same time. But anyway, let me know what you think about the Triple H whole thing or whatever. I'm going to be more Triple H videos because I think it has been intriguing like everything that he's sort of done since he's sort of gotten like power in some form. But anyway, yeah, till then, I'm out.
Yeah, we party till the sun up. You ain't liking what we doing? Shut up. You ain't liking what we doing? Shut up.